All the links to the original posts are given in the description. So now let's head straight to the video.
TIFU by ruining my husband's relationship with his best friend. My husband and I have been together for 7 years and married for 5. He has 2 older brothers that he isn't particularly close with. The one person he is very close to is his cousin Aaron. They lived together after my husband graduated college. He was the best man at our wedding, and Aaron even lived with us for a year while we were married so he could finish school. I like Aaron a lot. He has felt like a brother-in-law to me, much more than my actual in-laws have ever felt. My husband and I have had a rough 3 years. Between COVID, there was a point where both of our fathers were in terrible health. We've dealt with infertility issues, and sadly in July we had a stillbirth at 34 weeks pregnant. And Aaron has been there for us through all of that. He is probably the person my husband can lean on the most for support. Last night, I get a call from Aaron's longtime girlfriend Jennifer. She asked if it was okay if she could come over and have some girl talk with me. Jennifer and Aaron have been together about as long as my husband and I have. She has 3 kids from a previous relationship, and we love them. They spend the night at our house, and her older kid's dog sit for us. She comes over and proceeds to tell me some serious problems she has had with Aaron, and she is at a loss at what to do. The main crux of her issues are, Aaron is in an insane amount of debt and has basically used her as a place to crash for 7 years. He is constantly criticizing her for her parenting, saying she babies her teenage children. And finally, he's lying about where he's going. And his locations have him at a massage place that does happy endings. I hate to say that the financial issues and the parenting issues I already vaguely knew about. Even my husband and I have called Aaron out about how he talks about the teenagers. But I had no idea how bad it was. We talked through it and I flat out asked her if he is going to a massage parlor and getting happy ending behind your back, would you still stay with him? And she said yes. So I gave her some advice about boundaries and talking to him and I left it at that. After she left, I went upstairs and told my husband what she said. He proceeds to have a complete breakdown. He is in tears. I finally get him to talk and he starts saying things like, can I just have one person in my life that I can trust? I can't go to my brothers to talk, and now I can't trust Aaron because I know he's been doing this shit. He's fucking better than this. Just completely and utterly destroyed. I feel terrible. I didn't even think about it when I told him what Jennifer said. I didn't even think that it could ruin their relationship. Aaron is the only person he goes to for advice and really looks up to as a big brother. And I just completely destroyed that image. I'm going with the classic pretend it didn't happen technique this morning. But I just feel like I completely took away the one family member who felt comfortable turning to for emotional support. The fuck do I do? TLDR, TIFU by telling my husband all the fucked up shit his best friend, surrogate brother has done to his girlfriend, and I've probably ruined their relationship at a time when my husband really needs support. It's clear that you had good intentions when you shared what Jennifer told you with your husband. You wanted to be supportive and share concerns, especially considering the close bond he has with Aaron. However, it's understandable that you now regret how it turned out and feel like you may have negatively impacted their relationship. Here are some steps you might consider taking to address the situation. Apologize. Acknowledge to your husband that you didn't anticipate the emotional impact of your conversation with Jennifer, and that you're sorry for any distress it caused him. Reiterate your love and support for him. Give him space. Your husband may need some time to process his feelings and thoughts about the situation. Be patient and give him the space he needs to come to terms with the new information. Encourage communication. Encourage your husband to have an open and honest conversation with Aaron. It's essential for them to talk about these issues directly rather than having them fester in the background. Offer support. Let your husband know that you are there for him and that you will support him in whatever way he needs during this difficult time. Learn from the experience, reflect on what happened, and use it as an opportunity to improve communication with your husband. Discuss how to handle sensitive information in the future and what you both feel comfortable sharing with each other. In the long run, a strong relationship can weather challenges, and it's possible that your husband and Aaron can work through this difficult situation. Just remember that your intentions were rooted in care and concern, and your husband may eventually come to appreciate your honesty, even if it's painful in the short term. Now for the story 2. TIFU and stole a teacher's only joy. TL divided by doctor at the bottom. I was reminded of this by a post on Reddit a while back. The today in this story was about 45 years ago. I've always been competitive with myself about learning how to do things I'm genuinely interested in. I go all out to figure something out and then I'm off to the next thing, usually. When I was in elementary school, the teachers would sit in a half circle on the ledges of the landscaping. It was an extremely old set of buildings and they were tall and wide bricks. Beneath them, the ground was packed so hard it stayed dusty, and if you were looking down, about the only thing you'd see were little holes in this really hard dirt that kinda looked ethereal. At least in the mind of a little kid. There was one teacher, Mrs. Wilson, who was a few years away from retirement, that I didn't know, who, every day, would sit out on the bricks with really long pieces of grass, dipping one into a hole and pulling it out real quick. Then repeat, and repeat until the bell. This went on every day for years and years prior to me noticing her doing that, and likely before my existence. One day I just watched her and it fascinated me, so I went over and joined her. She told me that at the bottom of those holes were little creatures and that if you did it just right, you could yank them out of the holes. She had never caught one, but was certain this was true. I can't tell you what that did to my brain other than make me ridiculously determined to yank one of those creatures out of the holes. I was a shitty little kid for doing this. I know this now, please understand I was a child. Over the long hot summer, week after week, month after month, I'd sit in the dirt, with my grass, trying to catch whatever it was I was trying to catch. And then one day, I caught it. It was white and wriggly, and I know now it was larvae. I'm not sure what kind of larvae it was, might have been roly-poly bugs, but I got really good at yanking them out over the summer and I could not wait to go to school and tell Mrs. Wilson. On the first day of school, I ran to show her during recess, and I got one the first try and showed her how I learned to do it. She seemed excited about it, and she was able to finally get one herself. I was so proud of myself. That was Mrs. Wilson's last year of teaching as she announced she was retiring not long after. For all I knew, she went off into her retirement happily. Probably 20 years later, I ran into an old friend who was also a teacher there, and we started talking about all the teachers and different people we knew, and Mrs. Wilson got brought up and I was told this. She retired early because some student beat her at her bug catching game and stole her only joy. I swear, Irma, she loved trying to catch that whatever she was trying to catch, and that kid just ruined it for her. She was such a great teacher, too. I didn't confess. And that's how I took away an elementary teacher's joy. TL divided by doctor, learned how to do something an elementary teacher wanted to do for years and caused her to go into retirement early by stealing her joy. Your story is a poignant reminder of how our actions, even as children, can have unintended consequences on others. It's clear that you didn't mean any harm and were genuinely excited to share your achievement with Mrs. Wilson. In fact, you may have even brought her some joy by showing her how to catch those creatures. However, it's a lesson in the importance of considering the feelings and perspectives of others. While you can't change the past, it's essential to recognize the impact our actions can have on people and learn from those experiences. Mrs. Wilson's retirement might not have been solely because of your actions, but it's a reminder that our interactions with others can leave lasting impressions. It's a story of innocence, learning, and reflection, and it shows how even small actions can influence people's lives. Now let's move on to the story 3. TIFU by getting my wife and I kicked out of a concert for her favorite band. First year we've attended a concert in 15 years. Wife and I love Tool, one of my favorite bands, but for my wife they are easily number one. In 15 years of marriage we've never been to a concert together. We decide this is the year and eventually buy tickets for her favorite group, Tool. We did see Smashing Pumpkins for our first official concert just this summer and had a blast. I'm not one of those concert phone recorders, but during the Smashing Pumpkins concert my wife and I were dancing and swaying and she pulls out her phone to record the band when they're playing 1979. She was having a hard time, turned on her flashlight, got all flustered and put it away. I pulled out my phone, recorded maybe a minute of the song for her, then put it away to enjoy the rest of the show. Now, time for the Tool concert. Only my second concert I've been to in over a decade, and I guess I should have done more research on concert rules. I remembered during our last concert that my wife had a hard time pulling out her phone and making a little scene, so without being prompted I pull out my phone to preemptively record for her so she wouldn't have to worry about it. Again, I'm not planning on recording the whole night, or even whole songs. My plan was to record a 30-minute 60 clip of some of her favorite songs. That's what we'd done at the last concert, and we've loved looking back at that short recording and reminiscing the night. I should have read the papers posted on the doors as we entered. They apparently made some announcement before the opening act which I didn't hear because I was in the halls and not at my seat yet. But despite all that, I pulled out my phone during the first song and got my wife and I kicked out of the concert. I had no idea this was a rule, and apparently it was also an irredeemable mistake. I pleaded with security, offered to delete, hand over my phone, or even destroy it, whatever it took. These pleas fell on deaf ears. I've never felt more terrible in my life. I'd ruined my wife's night. She'd been looking forward to this concert for months and has been wanting to see them for years. We get escorted out the building and sent on our way home 30 minutes into the night. $400 bucks on tickets, $250 on merch. The night went down the drain. Anyhow, just wanted to save anyone and everyone else from going through the pain we'd gone through tonight. If you're going to see Tool or another band this year, double and triple check the venue rules. Or just do yourself a favor and keep your phone in your pocket. TLDR, I pulled out my phone at concert for my wife's favorite band and got us kicked out of the venue. Update: my wife heard from someone else they supposedly had papers on the seats also telling people about the rule. Well, I shit you not, when we got to our seats other people were already in them and we actually had to ask an usher to come get our seats for us. We never saw that note or paper if there was one. Fucking crazy how I missed all the signs. I can understand your frustration and disappointment in this situation, but it's clear that you had the best intentions to make the concert a memorable experience for your wife. Unfortunately, you didn't realize the strict rules regarding phone use at the Tool concert, and it resulted in a less than ideal outcome. It's a valuable lesson for others to be aware of the rules and regulations of any event they attend, especially when it comes to using phones during performances. In this case, the venue had a specific policy, and not being aware of it led to the unfortunate ejection from the concert. It's also unfortunate that the communication of these rules may not have been as clear as they could have been. Sometimes venues do provide notices or announcements, but they may not always reach everyone, as you mentioned with the seat mix-up. While it's a regrettable experience, it's important to remember that sometimes mistakes happen, and it's a chance to learn from them. Hopefully, in the future, you and your wife can attend another concert without any issues and have an even better time.
If you like the story, hit the like and don't forget to subscribe the channel, and thanks for watching.